It's Mr. Bass. I'm excited because I'm at one of my new favorite fishing holes. I caught over 50 fish here the other day. Then I came back and I caught another good grouping of fish. It wasn't nearly 50, but I know there's a lot of great fish in this little fishing hole here. And it's a great time for me to try out and experiment with the poop baits. You've got the DEPS cover scat, and you got the Fish Arrow heavy poop. So that's what I'm going to be throwing today. I'm throwing this on fluorocarbon line, on a bait caster, medium heavy rod, probably 15-pound test line. You could go a little lighter if you want. It's a weightless bait. Put it on a big EWG style hook, fish it weightless. What is a poop bait? It's really just a big, fat, heavy Cinco. All right, I'm going to start with this heavy poop, the 3.6 incher. All right, that's what it looks like. Really nice looking bait. And you can see the hook slot. The bait fits in this hook slot very nicely. Starting out, I'm not even going to expose it. I'm just going to leave it like that. See what the fish think. Okay, one thing I've already figured out, it only took about 3 or 4 casts, is this rod is too stiff. This is a really nice rod. I throw chatterbaits on it a lot of times, but it's way too stiff. I gotta have a softer tip. Okay, you just cast it out there. You can throw it right in the junk there and just let it fall to the bottom. You may want to let it sit there, lift it up, let it fall again. So you're really just moving it by lifting it up. You might drag it a little, you might hop it a little. That's pretty much all there is to it. It does cast a long way for a weightless bait. You can get some distance because it's fairly heavy, even though it's got no weight attached to it. First poop fish. This little guy definitely likes a poop, so good to know. Okay, I'm dropping it in there on that little branch, dropping it down below. And really what worked on that last bite is I just kind of let it sit there, and then I picked it up and bam, there's the fish. He's on it. This one's better. Looks like heavy pooping. Heavy pooping's the way to go. Check that out. That's definitely better than the last one. It's still only about 2.5 pounds, I'd say, but I'll take that. Okay, I've had 2 in a row. I'm just kind of figuring it out. The hard part with this thing is to just have the patience to let it sit there. I noticed early on I was wanting to move it too much. The last 2 fish, I basically threw it out there, twitched it, let it go to the bottom, and they nailed it. But they nailed it after it sat there for a minute or 2. I do like too this hook slot. The hook completely disappears in there. So let's see if fish number 3's over there somewhere. This is painfully slow fishing. If you're a person that likes to power fish, if you don't have a lot of patience, I don't think you're gonna like poop fishing. There's one. There's one. Oh. Just kind of gets heavy. You might hear a thump or feel a thump, but look at that. It's definitely sucked it in there, and he's not You know, he's not a big fish by any means, but fish number 3. Let it go to the bottom. It's a super subtle, natural look in the water. I would say for this technique, it also really pays to have a sensitive, high quality rod. This St. Croix Legend X is just fantastic. You can literally feel everything. Right in the roof of the mouth. That's where you want to hook them. You can see it. That's fish number 6. I caught 4, lost 2. He's about 1.5 pounds, close to 2 pounds maybe. Not huge, but he liked it. Okay, my heavy poop bait tore on me. I've got it in my pocket and I can still use it. But since it's torn, now I think I'm going to switch over to the cover scat. About the same size. This is 3.5 inches. The heavy poop was 3.6 inches. This doesn't have any chartreuse or nothing bright on it like the other one. I'm wondering if this more natural color is going to catch me more fish. I'm hoping it does. Although 6 ain't bad in the first 40 minutes. One nice thing about the cover scat is when you thread your hook through, and you're going to Texas rig it like so, it has a spot right here, kind of like the desired hook point to go through, that you could run it through. Now I've got a little bigger hook on here, so I'm going to run it back further, obviously. But I kind of like the fact that you've actually got a guide there. So I could put a much smaller hook on this. I don't think I want to though. I think that looks good to me. There's one. See if he takes it. Oh, line's moving. Fish on. Fish on. Okay, about the same size fish, 1.5 pounds. He definitely liked it. Be interesting to see how the two compare. Number 1 on the cover scat. Okay, this one was interesting. I was doing the same retrieve, kind of a drag, let it fall, drag, let it fall. And then I put my rod tip down and started to slowly reel it in. And when I did, I felt weight. So he had sucked it in. And then he just stayed on it. So that's a good sign. That's number 5. Now, I caught 6 of the heavy poop in about 35 to 40 minutes. And I've caught 5 of the cover scats in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So I don't know if that means anything. I'm in a different part of the pond now, so there may be more fish here. It could be the color. This is more natural. Hard to say for sure. This feels like a little better fish. Giving me a tug. Definitely a better fish. Biggest fish of the day without a doubt. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good one. Cover scat, baby. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah. Woo. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. I was just thinking, man, I haven't really caught any big ones yet. 2.5 pounds, about it. This one definitely makes up for that. So how about that? Bum, bum, bum. Beautiful. Beautiful fish. Right on the bank there. Shallow. There we go. DEPS, baby. DEPS cover scat. Stuck on my glove. Yeah. That was number 13, best fish of the day, for sure. This thing is very weedless. Especially if you skin hook it. I mean, it has a good hook slot, but it's weedless. There's one right there. He was right on there. He thumped me right on that branch. That's 15. 15. Definitely a little better fish. Pound and a half. He's probably not 2 pounds, but got him right in the roof of the mouth. Nice. 15 at an hour and 14 minutes and 24 seconds. Okay, here's 22. Different color. This is a color that old Grandpa Woody sent me to let me try these out. And I've already caught 3 fish on it. Like I said, it's number 22. So that color works. Really good color. Okay, that was very, very fun. Fishing the poop baits, the cover scat and the heavy poop. And I fished several colors. I had this one that kind of has green pumpkin on one side, chartreuse on the other. That's the heavy poop. And then I also had a kind of a more natural looking color of the cover scat that I was throwing. Then I also had this color of the cover scat, which is, it's got a little kind of grayish, almost super light purplish look to it. Color didn't seem to matter. They hit all of the colors that I threw. I was going to throw this solid green pumpkin as well, but just didn't get around to it. I ran out of time. I was only going to fish 2 hours. That's what I fished, 2 hours. Here's the green pumpkin color, one that I did not throw. In the 2 hours that I fished, I had 27, 28 bites, and of the 27, 28 bites, I lost 6 fish. So I brought in 21 or 22, something like that, in 2 hours. So for me, that's great. That's a really nice couple of hours of fishing, without a doubt. Which bait was better, the heavy poop or the cover scat? I don't think there was any difference. Just to kind of give you an example. First, I started with the heavy poop, and I fished it for 40 minutes, and I caught 6 fish, or I had 6 bites. I had 6 bites. Then I switched, and I started fishing this cover scat, and in about 20-25 minutes, I had 6 bites. So the bites came quicker on this. But I was just trying to figure out the retrieve on this bait that I started with first. It's the first time I fished these turd baits or poop baits. So the fact that it took 40 minutes to catch 6 versus 20 minutes, I don't think really says a whole lot. Once I started getting the pattern down and figure out how the bite was working, it didn't really matter at all. So I would say just pick whichever one you like the best. They're probably both equally fishable, no problems there. Now, the one thing I did notice, a couple of things, because I fished it with fluorocarbon and with mono. Mono's out. Do not use mono. There's just too much stretch in mono. And although I did catch the vast majority of the fish on the mono, and like I said, I only lost 6 fish total, I still think if I'd been throwing fluoro, I would have caught most of those 6 fish that I lost. The other thing, you want a kind of a soft, whippier rod with some moderate taper background or backbone. Okay, next, as far as the rod goes, I threw 3 different rods. And the one that was absolutely the best for me was this 6/8 medium heavy fast action. So not extra fast. You could probably even go with a moderate taper, but I would say a fast to a moderate taper is what you need. This 6/8 rod I just liked a little better. Now this was fishing from the bank, but normally I'm throwing a 7-foot or longer rod, but this 6-foot Legend X rod, it's just fantastic. And one thing that's clear to me is the heavy poop fishing, which is weightless fishing, although I'm sure you could put a weight if you want, it requires a special rod, kind of like fishing a Cinco. I'm very picky about my Cinco rod. If it's too heavy, the action's just not right. It's hard to retrieve. The same is true for these poop baits. So experiment with the rod, and you'll figure out, what you like the best. As far as line goes, like I said, fluorocarbon all the way, and I really kind of like that 14, 15 pound test, 16 maybe at the biggest. Just seemed to be perfect. Now, how's the hook set and the retrieve? I really think that I was using this as a search bait, and because it's a pond, you can walk around the circumference of the pond, that's fine. But if I were on a lake in my boat, there's no way I would use the poop bait as a search bait. It's like the Cinco. You need to know where the fish are, flip this bad boy in the cover or wherever the fish are at, let it just fall on their heads. They're gonna eat it. And then there was kind of 2 bites going on. One was as I would kind of hop it, drag it and hop it a little bit, you'd feel a thump. You could set the hook and normally you'd get them. The other is as you were dragging it or hopping it, if you got in a little deeper water, I would put the rod tip down, I would drag it, hop it a little bit, and then I would just slow reel it. And on about 1/3 of my bites, what they would do is it would just feel heavy. And you just continue to reel, and you'd bring them in almost every time. Anyway, that's about it. That kind of wraps up the poop baits. They're fun to fish if you're patient. If you got a really fast mind though, and you don't like slow fishing, you're gonna hate this. So just keep that in mind. I hope it was informative and helpful. If so, please subscribe to the Mr. Bass channel. Smash that like button. Until next time, this is Mr. Bass. Happy poop fishing!